I remember the old Webbot talked about these damaged documents, and the more the Fast and Furious scandal unfolded, right when it said to start looking for these damaged documents, I said to you in my videos, man, I think this is Fast and Furious. And I did, I think, 2 videos about it. I was absolutely convinced based off of what happened and what the Webbot had said, which was that these damaged documents, it's going to end up being public eyes are not welcome here. You will not see these documents. They will just get buried, done away with. You are not going to see them. And it mentioned that someone at the high level will be the fall guy. And I said, maybe they're going to go after Eric Holder. Maybe he's going to be the fall guy. And it started looking that way. And then at the last minute, Obama says, oh, I'm giving him executive privilege. So you can't subpoena the documents. Not anymore. Or his emails or whatever. So, didn't get fired. Didn't get demoted. Still trying to figure out, well, who's at fault? So here's up. We got some news, America. We've been working hard. We've got these guys. The botched Fast and Furious program. We finally nailed some people. America, are you happy? We got these guys. We did justice for you guys. Are you ready? Here it is. A senior Justice Department official who resigned Wednesday after being criticized for his role in a botched anti-gun trafficking operation said he was being singled out because U.S. officials needed someone up high to blame, Reuters says in their story. They needed someone up high to blame. He had to take the fall. This is his words, not the Webbot, even though the Webbot said it in advance. The Webbot said it in advance of this guy even knowing he was going to be the fall guy. How is that possible with a piece of computer software? I don't know, but I sure pay attention to it, and I'm sure glad that I did. Jason Weinstein, who served as Deputy Assistant General for the Criminal Division, quit after being faulted by the department's Inspector General in a report released Wednesday on Operation Fast and Furious. And notice how nowhere in this story does it say, by the way, did we get to see Eric Holder's emails that he would not reveal to us? Nah. No, and don't you dare ask that. Focus on that we got somebody and he's taking the fall for this. Don't focus on what's in the emails, because if you got to see what's in the emails, you'd be reassured that this guy was definitely picked on and definitely the fall guy and had nothing to do with it. Incredible. So why do they resign? I'll tell you why they resigned, and I've said this many times before. Hey, bozo, you're taking the fall. Oh, you don't like that? Yeah, listen. Maybe you didn't hear me. You're taking the fall, and if you fight it, you know we're going to go after you and prosecute you. And the incriminating evidence against me, Mr. Eric Holder, I've got executive privilege. No court, no person will ever see what's in those emails that prove I knew about this. But you, on the other hand, I'll release everything on you right now with no problem. And I'll make it seem like you did it. That's why you're taking the fall. So you can either resign right now and we won't prosecute you, or stick around, or even try to fight us or sue us after you leave, and I'll bury you. You know that's what happened. There's no question. The mismanaged operation let straw purchasers buy semi-automatic weapons in an effort to interdict gun traffic between the U.S. and Mexico, but failed to track them as they fell into the hands of drug gangs, creating a risk to public safety, the report said. The report said 14 officials, including Weinstein, had reason to question the bungled operation but failed to do so, and that's why they're in trouble. Weinstein called the report a, quote, complete distortion of the facts. And you know what? Because I got a Webbot in my back pocket that said so months and months and months ago, I think old Weinstein's correct. Quote, for reasons that are completely incomprehensible to me and are based on considerations other than evidence, the report identifies me as the senior official at Maine Justice who supposedly knew enough that I could have or should have done more to figure out what was actually happening happening in Operation Fast and Furious, he said in a statement. Nothing could be further from the truth, he said. Another senior justice official, Kenneth Melson, who was also criticized by the Inspector General's findings, retired on Wednesday as well. Now notice it doesn't say he quit. He retired. Retired as in, listen, bozo, everybody knows I did it. You are taking the fall. You're secondary taking the fall. We're going to allow you to retire early and get your retirement, courtesy of the taxpayers. You're going to shut your mouth. You're going to be at fault for doing this, and you go on your merry way. You worked here for a decade or longer. Appreciate that. But someone's got to take the fall, and it's not going to be me, Mr. Eric Holder, or the president. You're taking the fall. Shut your mouth and get your retirement. Open your mouth or complain. We'll go after you, and you will lose your retirement. Did I ever mention, maybe once or twice, that this is precisely to the T of what every dictatorship on the face of the earth in the last 100 years, and probably longer than that, have done? Remember those 10 steps, Naomi Wolf's 10 steps to bring a country down to a dictatorship and a tyrant leading it? She goes on to talk about Hitler, Joseph Stalin, Mussolini, all these guys. This is exactly what they did. Alex Jones had an interview from a guy on his YouTube page a few days ago, from 2010. They just re-aired it. It's like almost an hour long. The guy was clearly old and lived through the Nazi regime from when he was a kid up until current times. And the one thing he said in the middle of this interview is basically America is going in that direction. It's already pretty much there. I already seen it and experienced it, so I already know what to look for. He was responsible, he said, after the fact, to try to figure out how this happened and never, ever, ever allow it to happen again. And he made that a little mission in his life. And here it is where he came to America, the beacon of hope, freedom, etc., democracy, and it's turning into what Hitler was, which again is simply socialism and fascism, technically, and communism, all bunched up in one. You might as well just call it, socio-fascism, something like that. They all did it. Hitler did it. Joseph Stalin did it. Mussolini did it. Except it's a blueprint. Naomi Wolf, the 10 steps. That's all you got to search for. Listen to her video. She goes in and talk about this stuff. And this is what the Nazis did. You're going to think our way. You're going to do what we say to do, even if it's not right. And if you don't like what we're doing, things don't end too well for you. This guy said I think it was his father, he said, was like a governor or a mayor or something of one of the towns in Germany. And when the Nazis took over, they basically told him how he's going to have to start running things. He said, no, I don't want to do that. Because it was against the law as far as he was concerned, even though Hitler already changed all the laws, kind of like Obama and George Bush Sr. and Bill Clinton and everyone before them have already done. But George Bush Sr. and Obama have done the worst of those changes. They're already set in stone. They are already laws. If they are not laws passed by Congress, they are already executive orders signed by George Bush Jr. and Obama, both of them. And the next president, whether it's Romney or not, will do the same thing. He's not going to go back and say, you know what, that executive order Obama signed on March 16th, 2012, which you need to go check that one out. I did a video on it. He's not going to go back and retract it. He's not going to go back to the National Defense Authorization Act signed into law December 31st, 2011 and say, you know what, that part about indefinite detention of Americans, I'm going to remove that. He's not going to do it. And you know what? Even if he tried to do it and did do it, that same language is like in the Patriot Act. So it's almost just doesn't even matter now, does it? So This is the fall guy. This is just crazy. And this is, I've been waiting for, the Webbot said someone's going to take the fall. It was looking like Eric Holder, because remember, he was in contempt of court. I guess it was contempt, because he didn't want to, Congress subpoenaed the documents. He refused to give it to them. They gave him a deadline. He still refused. Then they went after him, and of course, Justice Department, even though Congress said he's guilty, Justice Department, what are you going to do about it? What did the Justice Department say? Nah, we're not going to prosecute. We're not going to prosecute our boss. Come on. So the Justice Department's not going to prosecute their boss, and their boss was definitely doing something wrong, majorly wrong. Can you see again when people say, well, how in the world did all these people, could they follow somebody like Hitler? This guy was like the Antichrist. I mean, how does that just happen where he comes into power? I mean, did he steal his way in? And then after he's in, all these people are cheering and chanting and they love him? How did this happen? The old guy from Alex Jones 2010 said it. Well, that's exactly how it happened. He promised everything and everything's going to be fine. I'm going to take from the rich, give to the poor. Those don't have it, the haves and the have-nots, you guys are going to have. Hey, sounds good to me. Sounded good to everybody except for the people that had, the richer people. Didn't quite sound too good to them, but it didn't matter because they were the minority. And then once he got into power, because everyone liked him so much, they put him in power. As I say, and by their deeds you shall know them. Nobody cared to see what he was doing. Now no one's following him, changing the laws, running his own, not executive orders, but the same difference, doing the same thing, skirting their whole constitution, created his dictatorship, and then they went to war. And then that's when millions of people died. And now looking back, everyone's just common knowledge. Everybody knows he was the freaking Antichrist, Hitler, Jesus Christ, this guy was terrible. But not one of those German people, or very few, I should say, because I'm sure some knew. Back then, those were the conspiracy theorists. Hey, I think we got a bad guy coming on the scene here. I don't like this guy. What are you talking about, you nut job, you fringe lunatic? This guy's going to change the whole of Germany. The have-nots are going to finally be something in life. They're going to make it. He's going to fix everything. Like, you listen to what he's saying. He's going to fix everything. This guy's a godsend. Really. Yeah, listen, how's that working out? Or how did that work out for you? Yeah. They had to change some laws after that in Germany so that the troops, military, will never, ever, 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 ever be used inside of Germany for any other political or law enforcement reasons. Never. Kind of like our Constitution has. Or our Constitution used to have. Until recently, I did a video on this again the other day, probably a few weeks ago. Constitution in Germany, yeah, they just voted in their little parliament. That little section about not allowing troops that was instilled after Hitler took power. Can't have troops on the streets doing anything to citizens anymore. Yeah, it's gone. We're going to reverse that now all of a sudden. We're going to reverse that. Do you see how quickly, how easy these people that have the control, you vote them in, and then you gotta wait for them to go up. They can go. You can vote them in, and then they can just destroy your life, destroy your country, take you into a, third world country status. I mean, destroy anything that you have, all rights, property rights, everything. Just kill it, and all you're allowed to do because the law says so. I got a couple more years. I gotta wait. Well, let me just wait. Oh, freedom of speech, gone. Freedom to have a gun, gone. Freedom to disagree with the government, gone. Freedom to choose where you want to live, gone. Private property, gone. Come on. I still got 6 months, man. Come on, I can't just stand here. Are we really that stupid as people? Are we that freaking dumb? Because we vote these people in the office. They promise they're going to do a good job, and I'm here for you people. All of you, I'm here for you. And then I get voted in, and then all of a sudden, I'm not here for you anymore. I'm here for myself, my interests. And whatever the biggest bidder is, their interest too. Including if they want to make this country into a dictatorship or create genetically modified foods and seeds that are going to kill us all later and cause deformities and major health problems. As long as they're lining my pocket so I can run again, because I like this job and I like having this feeling of power and congressman and excuse me. Remember that lady? Remember? I'm not. He called her congresswoman or yes ma'am or something. Excuse me. I worked very hard to earn the title of senator. I would appreciate it if you called me by senator. You remember that? Do you remember that one? I'm sure you do. And it was like a military guy, general or something. It was talking to her about something, and she had to stop him. Oh, address me by senator. Could you imagine the worst mafia guy, the worst mobster that would just, kill an old lady for $10? Kill an innocent lady for $10. It's the worst kind of mobster you can think of. Getting in front of a microphone in his nice suit and tie and listen. I worked very hard for this title. Please call me sir. Are you a sir? Do you act like a sir? No, you act like the devil. And the last time I checked, nobody called the devil sir. So if you want to be a senator, please call me senator. You better act like a senator. And I'm telling you now, when this country ends in its current form, and it will, history is on my side, and it never fails. When this current form of our country ends, and the people are trying to put up something new, be sure to make some kind of amendment or constitutional, some kind of amendment, something that makes it absolute law for sure, and you can't twist the interpretation, not even kind of, that basically states when you're voted into office and you don't do the people's will, all it takes is a certain percentage number of people, signed petition, whatever, not to vote to see if we can get you out, but once a certain number of people have signed and that petition is presented, you're gone. And anything you voted on, which is what caused the people to write the petition, like something you voted on that you weren't supposed to, that the people said not to, all that gets undone. Your vote goes away, gets retracted. There has to be something better. There's no way that we're all going to sit here and say, well, man, I got 2 years. Oh, president just got maybe old Romney wins, right, in the next couple months. Maybe it's old Obama for another 4 years. And boy, I don't know why Lindsey Williams saying the elite want Obama out and they want Romney in. I don't know why his elite friends telling him that's what they want. This guy's doing everything they want perfectly. I mean, maybe it's just a tactic that's to make us think, something different or something. I don't know. Not that he would do that on purpose, but the elite friend, who knows? But I mean, is that really what it is? You vote for somebody, and once they're in office, they're stuck there. So it's kind of like vote for someone to drive your car. Where are you going today? Oh, we're going to Clearwater Beach from Brandon. It's going to take us about 40 minutes to get down to the beach. Who's driving this time? We're going to vote. This is democracy. We like to be fair. And we're going to vote for this new guy over here. He says he's been driving for 20 years. He's never been in an accident. He's never has his insurance lapse. Never had an insurance claim. He's got says he's got the Citizens Award of driving, great driver's record or something, some kind of award. This is no contest. Let him drive. I mean, sure, let me buckle you in for you. You're going to drive us, man. I feel privileged. And then he gets in the car. And he looks in, once he buckles that seat and turns the key on, that's it. You can't take him out of the car. He's your driver until you get to Clearwater Beach, Florida, 40 minutes later. And within the first 5 minutes, you're terrified. He is not a safe driver. He's already ran some people off the road. He nearly crashed into the back of someone trying to drive so fast and change lanes, etc., etc., etc. If that happened in real life, you would stop the person from driving. You would physically stop them from driving, and you'd have every right to do so. And if the police saw the car like swaying back and forth, you guys are fighting over the steering wheel, you explain to the cop's going to say, man, we've already had complaints coming in. I'm glad you tried to stop them. Thank you. That's what would happen. But in this system we have, no, You're a terrorist. You tried to stop this guy from driving his car when he had his 40-minute drive planned ahead? Terrorist, lock him up. Homegrown terrorist, lock him up. Trying to overthrow the driver. That's homegrown terrorism. What's wrong with you? We're going to make an example out of you. You're going to prison, and you're going in the hole for at least 60 days. That's our system. You vote, you vote, and then you sit back and pray and hope. Maybe God's going to help me on this one. Maybe I'll pray and God's going to put the good guy in there. Well, how can God do that if the both of your choices, and there's only two choices, Democrat and Republican, if they're both marked, let's say, by Satan? Those are Satan's guys. And then you're going to argue, well, one's a little less Satan than the other one. One's the devil, one's Satan. Man, I'm going to pray that this is the right one. This is the right one. You could pray all you want. You could pray the rest of your life. And the fact that you have these two devils as a choice doesn't change anything. So what do you have to do? Stop praying and physically do something to make your changes. And it starts with protesting and, hey, Senator, hey, Congressman, we need to change these laws. We need to. And they're looking at you like, you think I'm going to change the laws that give me all this power so that you, when you're upset with me, and I know you're going to be upset with me because I'm not going to give a crap about you as soon as I get into this office, and I'm going to be calling people all day long looking for money, taking the highest bidder, passing legislation that they want me to pass as long as they give me money. You want me to put a law in place that forbids me from doing that? You want me to cut my own foot off? You want me to cut the hand that feeds me off? Knowingly? What are you, a moron? That's how they think. You remember the real old senator when they were doing, again, this is back, after I think Obama won, and they were doing these town hall meetings, right? Town hall meetings. All these congressmen, man, women and men were going to town hall meetings. They had this old guy on there, an old congressman. And this was about the 2,000-page healthcare bill. People were absolutely furious. And they didn't yell at him at first. They were just saying, Congressman, this healthcare bill, we're just really, we don't want it passed. We're hoping you're not going to pass it. The people are here to tell you tonight we don't want it. And he says, well, you got to trust. Basically, we say, well, you got to trust us, and we know what we're doing. And everyone's like, no, we don't want you passing it. We put you in there. Oh, you just got to trust us. So then the next question, Congressman, we're very concerned, and we're surprised you're not concerned. Why? Haven't you read it? Haven't you seen what's in it? No, I haven't read that thing. You know how long that thing is? He was upset. How dare you tell me to read that? It's 2,000 pages. What's wrong with you? And the people flipped out. They lost it in the town hall meeting. They were screaming. They wanted to kill that guy. And he couldn't understand what the hell's happening here. He didn't even understand what was happening. Didn't even have the concept of why they would be possibly tiny bit angry that he didn't read a 2,000-page bill that contained all kinds of stuff that had nothing to do with healthcare, along with the stuff that did have to do with healthcare. These are the people we're putting into office. And then you say, well, I'm gonna inform myself better than I've ever been informed before. I'm gonna go to some of these other sites, not Fox News, not CNN, not the mainstream. I'm gonna find out I'm really gonna do my research and figure out who I need to vote for. And there's the Democrat and there's the Republican choice for senator. Neither of them are a good choice. The same crappy choice you had as a president, Democrat, Republican, both of them, two sides of the same coin, both evil. You have the same situation for a senator, the same situation for a congressman, and then the one guy that doesn't really have the experience, he's from your town, small guy, no money, he's running. Well, he didn't have any experience. He didn't go to Harvard and Yale, Stanford, like these other guys. You can't vote for this guy. Who in the hell do you think were the founding fathers in the first set of congressmen and senators and all that? You think they went to Princeton, Harvard, and Yale back then? They were average people, keeping a watch on the country, doing the right thing, doing what they were supposed to do with their limited power. And naturally, certain people within society, they want to go where the power is. And then once they get the power, they just make a little subtle change, gives them a little more power. A few years later, another subtle little change, more power. Next thing you know, 100 plus years go by, and little change, little change, little change, little change equals a lot of little change turning into a big change as a whole. And when you look at it all, it's frightening. You say, what in the hell happened to the Constitution? Where's the Constitution and all this change and all these laws that you've changed and subverted the Constitution? You can't write a law later that's basically, again, like hate speech. Hate speech. You're going to get arrested for hate speech. YouTube, you use hate speech. If you use that again, we're going to ban your account because that's against the law. Hate speech. There's no such thing as hate speech in a country that has freedom of speech. This is absurd. Well, they made it into law. But it cannot supersede the Constitution unless they have a constitutional convention where every state gets involved, and it has to be an absolute massive majority to change anything in the Constitution. In other words, there's not a chance in hell that that's going to happen. So what's the next best thing? We'll just pass a law and hope that everybody around us thinks that this is okay, and they accept this as being law, which subverts and changes the Constitution. That part about freedom of speech and freedom of protest and right to bear arms, all that. This is the new law. This is our new interpretation. Don't pay attention to that anymore. And if we arrest you based on this new law, we already know the cops are going to go for it. The FBI is going to go for it. The Justice Department is going to go for it. The attorneys general of all 50 states are going to go for it because we've all pretty much kind of accepted it. And when I say we, all of the government agencies. Well, the Justice Department, that's government. The local police, that's government. Federal, that's government. FBI, that's government. So when you have all of them saying, yeah, we accept this as law, it doesn't matter anymore now, does it? What you thought the true law was. You're going to argue with those guys and tell them, the Constitution, freedom of speech. They just get more pissed off. Oh, here we go, another constitutional guy. I'm an officer. I know the law. Okay, so you spent 6 months training in an academy that doesn't just sit there and teach you the law. They teach you how to be a police officer. Very little on the law, for God's sakes. And now you think you're an expert? Just because you got a badge on? That doesn't mean you're an expert. Matter of fact, there's a story I was looking at today of a guy that had a trial because he was filming an Occupy protest in Miami, Florida. And get this. Matter of fact, I had a reminder on my calendar today. What happened with this trial? Follow it. So I looked, did a little research, found his little website. Boom. My trial is now being continued, postponed, after Nancy Perez, who was the arresting officer that was in charge, the high-level officer, after Nancy Perez fails to follow court order for key evidence. My trial this morning was continued for a later date because the Miami-Dade Police Department, specifically Major, which is very high level in the police department, Major Nancy Perez refused a court order to provide my attorney with the basic standard operating procedures dictating how police should interact with the media. They've got those manuals all over the place. Naturally, in the police department, don't want to give it to them. Perez, who heads the department's media relations division, should have these guidelines at her fingertips. I would agree. Not only to educate herself, but the other officers she supervises. That's also correct. But she refused to turn this information over to my attorney despite 3 requests, including a verbal request during her deposition, as well as a request made through a motion through the court, and eventually a request my attorney made through a subpoena. Obviously, she's not too concerned about being held in contempt of court. But if that was you peasant piece of crap, knock, knock, knock at the door, you're under arrest. Failure to follow a court order. When the issue was brought up in court today, Perez told the judge that she would have gladly provided him a copy, or this guy a copy, except that she said he was refusing to pay the $17 fee to get that copied and sent over. My attorney, Arnold Trevilla, said he was never told there would be a cost and was never sent an invoice, which is the customary practice a government agency goes through when fulfilling public records requests. In fact, I picked up a copy of the standard operating procedures on Tuesday, less than 24 hours before my trial, and only because a request was made by First Amendment specialist Robert Chandler. And the only reason that request was fulfilled was because Chandler had threatened to sue the police department over a public records violation. But even then, Perez was trying to charge us almost $80 for these guidelines because she claimed it would have taken her 3 hours to find it. 3 hours to find a standard operating practices, procedures for the police department that every police officer should have in their car, on their body, on their person, somewhere? Right. But Chandler wasn't born yesterday, so he sent the following email to Bill Lyons, a legal advisor for the police department, who has been working with him in obtaining these records. Mr. Lyons, I would like a copy of her entire personnel file. Please let me know how much of a deposit is needed, and I will pay with money order. Please show me the statute that allows for charging for redaction. Fees are governed by section such and such, and I see no subsection that expressly allows for the charging of redactions. To my knowledge, this has not yet been challenged in the judicial system. My reasoning is that by virtue of another subsection, which says providing access to public records is a duty of each agency. Therefore, part of that duty is to protect confidential information, in other words, redacting, while still providing access to the public. Essentially, redacting record is a ministerial duty as, quote, custodian. I am more than happy to hear your thoughts on this issue. I see too often costs for redactions being used to keep records from the public through excessive fees. And then he says, this guy says, I also received a letter today from Major Perez informing me that the costs for the standard operating procedure manual in a digital format will cost $79.56 for 3 hours of research time. I challenge your agency to explain this. She is telling me that the SOP manual took 3 hours of research to find. How can the Miami-Dade Police Department expect to follow the standard operating procedures if it takes the PIO 3 hours just to find it? She asked me to contact Captain Bibiana Santana if I had any questions. I am still trying to run all my requests through you directly as you requested. He said that to their attorney. Ergo, I am making a subsequent public records request about my request. Number 1, please provide to me the salary of the lowest paid employee or volunteer that could have searched for the records. 2, provide to me a copy of the timesheet or any other documents of the employee documenting the 3 hours of search time to find the responsive records. If the records exist in electronic format, please provide them as such. If the cost of production is to exceed $1, provide a written estimate prior to production. Thanks. End of his letter. So then he says on his blog here, I ended up paying $25 for the standard operating procedure, which goes to show you there really isn't any consistency as to what they are charging for public records. I leafed through it last night before handing it to my attorney this morning, and it's obvious why she did not want us to see it in court, because it proves she was acting completely out of policy when she arrested me that night. And we also have a pending request regarding her cell phone records, including text messages from the days following my arrest, for which I will eventually be billed for. And we are discussing making further requests, even if they only end up being used in the civil suit I plan on filing once I get past this criminal charge. Because they tried to charge him with like criminal something. I forgot what it was titled. Interfering in police work or something. This is a costly process, not only because of the public record fees, but because of attorney fees and the cost to obtain copies, etc. Any donation you want to issue is more than welcome, of course, he says. So I'm going to post this link right now at the end of this video. This is your country. This is America. This is happening in my state of Florida. This is not uncommon. It happens across police departments across the nation. But we're told, democracy, democracy, America. And we're trying to bring this crap to the Middle East and other places? You can see why. We don't want a dictator over there keeping his control. A dictator like that terrible Gaddafi, who gave free education, free housing. I think it was free housing. Pennies for gallons of gas. Just a terrible dictator. What the hell's wrong with that guy? We can't have the guys like that dictating. We gotta put in our democracy, and they'll have a constitution too. They'll have rules of law, and we'll subvert them. We'll do the voting thing. We'll do the Democrat Republican thing, and then we'll change the laws over there. And the next thing you know, they're gonna have their one world order, one world dictatorship ran by the UN, with the Pope and his pedophile sorry butt at the top, waving and smiling and doing his little thing, doing the Pope thing and all this stuff. I don't know what that is. Unless he's looking at some little boy's rear end from a distance. I don't know, but he's doing something, and that's where it's coming from. And when the Pope and Catholic Church a few years ago, like 2 or 3 years ago, not even that long, I don't think, came out and said that we do need a one world order and financial system, that should have been all you needed to know to figure out where the Catholic Church stands. It was the one that called the shots for the last 2,000 plus years. It's the only thing remaining of all of the last 2,000 years of history. The Roman Empire is gone. Other empires that came are gone. Kings and queens gone. Different types of democracies and different kinds of forms of governments and dictatorships. All that stuff comes and goes. But that Catholic Church, the Vatican, the same Vatican that sent Spaniards across the world to destroy and kill people if they did not convert to Catholicism, like the Mayans, that's who I'm talking about. Yeah, those guys. Now, back then, that was okay. We will convert you and let you live. If you don't convert, you die. And all this stuff that you got around here, mapping stars and charts and cycles, that's evil and devilish. We're going to destroy that stuff. That's the Catholic Church. So, I'm done blabbing. It's just another day in paradise, basically. Getting worse by the day. Take care.